he was always, every time, he was just a person that always had a smile on him, no matter where he went.
Remembering a fallen officer. Family, friends, and an entire community are honoring the life of Lakeland police officer Arnulfo Crispin today. He died last week trying to make Lakeland a safer place to live. Investigators say it happened during a pat-down of a group of people at Crystal Grove Park. That's when police say 19-year-old Kyle Williams shot Officer Crispin in the head. Williams is now in jail facing a first-degree murder charge.
There is no room in a community of Lakeland for violence such as this.
As a community struggles to understand, thousands from across the state and the nation are coming together to begin the healing process.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Rod Carter. It is a somber morning across the Bay Area as folks gather now to remember Officer Arnulfo Crispin, who died while protecting and serving the city of Lakeland. In just a matter of moments, funeral services will begin for Officer Crispin. This morning, services are being held at Victory Church. This is the scene inside the church right now. In fact, just about an hour ago, people started gathering. There are more than 100 officers who've already started gathering as of 9 o'clock to line up to form an honor guard. One officer told our partners with TBO.com, when one officer dies, we all die a little. Those folks are all gathered now. That service beginning here just a few minutes from now. We have team coverage of today's ceremony with News Channel 8's Jeff Patterson and Natalie Shepard live at the church this morning. Good morning, guys.
Good morning, Rod. And you know what? People are still pouring into the church. We got here just a little bit after 8 o'clock, and traffic coming this direction out to Lakeland to the Victory Baptist Church was already thick. And we've just seen people pulling in, parking, and coming into this church for several hours now. So it's really something that's touched this community. A lot of people, a lot of law enforcement officers. So just a busy day out here right now.
It's a massive church. It's a huge parking lot. There are a lot of officers here, officers from all over Florida and in fact from around the country who have come here to attend this funeral. People from all over Lakeland and in fact the Bay Area who are friends of Officer Crispin's have gathered for this, and they are still just coming into this large church for this funeral to begin. Scheduled to begin at 10 a.m., but it looks like it might be a little bit later than that.
I think just to get all of the people inside the church, they will have to push that back at least a few minutes. But Officer Crispin has a long history here in the Bay Area. He was born in Tampa, grew up in Mulberry, went to Mulberry High School, and then has been with the Lakeland Police Department here for about 18 months. So he knows a lot of people, has a huge family here in the area. Last night they had a viewing for Officer Crispin, and the turnout was enormous. Thousands of people came out for that visitation last night, and they were anticipating that that would kind of indicate what the turnout for the funeral today would be, and it looks like that is bearing out, that thousands of people are here as well.
Fellow officers from the Lakeland Police Department describe him as an individual who always had a smile. He was on hand at the Lakeland Regional Mall during the Christmas holiday season to help with police enforcement there. Even the people at the mall describe him as a person who is very willing to help, always had a smile on his face. As Natalie mentioned, he went to Mulberry High School, was on the high school football team there as a kicker, played soccer. Another key element that will be here as part of this service today is the honor flag. It's a flag that happened to be flying over the Texas State House on September 11th, 2001, and from there, dignitaries will be here present for this funeral.
Yeah, Jeff and Natalie, we're going to check back in with you in a few minutes. You guys mentioned the traffic, so we want to kind of give people who live in the Lakeland area a look at the funeral procession so they'll know which way everything will take place. Let's take a look at that map if we could. That funeral procession, the hearse carrying Officer Crispin's casket, will make its way down Griffin Road to North Florida Avenue and then onto Bartow Road. That turns into US 98. Officer Crispin will then be buried at Oak Hill Cemetery. And as things, again, there are thousands of people that are attending the service today. And we want to take a look at something else. A lot of people have been paying their respects throughout this past week for the officer. Since Officer Crispin's death, a memorial outside the Lakeland Police Department has grown tremendously. People from all across the Bay Area have placed flowers and balloons, stuffed animals, and messages on a patrol car, many expressing their grief and their gratefulness for Officer Crispin's sacrifice. And again, people are starting to make their way, of course, to the church, and that service was expected to begin at about 10 o'clock. And as we know from Jeff and Natalie, it's going to start a little bit later because, again, we're talking about a lot of people getting in the church. And according to our partners, again, at TBO.com, who are also covering the service today, the service is expected, guys, to take about 70 minutes, according to the pastor. Is that accurate?
That is what we're hearing, about 70 minutes, and then, of course, they'll come out.
Situation. Rod, we're still waiting for things to begin here as you sit there and watch what is going on inside the church.
All right, thank you very much. We'll check back in with you guys in just a few minutes. As both of you mentioned, Officer Crispin was 25 years old, had only been with the Lakeland Police Department for 18 months. He was one of 9 siblings, and those siblings say he wanted to grow up and be a police officer since he was a kid, wanted to make a difference. News Channel 8's Jennifer Lee, who covers Polk County for us, has more on his siblings' thoughts about the brother they lost.
I want to thank everyone for all the help, for the companionship, and most importantly, their prayers.
And of course, Officer Crispin died trying to make Lakeland a safer place to live. We want to remind all the folks of the funeral procession and the route that the funeral procession will take. The hearse carrying the officer's body will make its way down Griffin Road to North Florida Avenue, and then it will make its way onto Bartow Road, and that, of course, turns into US 98. Officer Crispin will then be buried at the Oak Hill Cemetery. Let's go back out live to Natalie Shepard and Jeff Patterson now for a look at where things stand. And I know thousands of people, again, filling up that very expansive parking lot there at Victory Church.
It is pretty amazing just to see how many people and how long it's taken for them to arrive and park and go inside just for this ceremony. So to start here, we're watching the last of the people, it looks like, start to filter inside the church. All
right, we'll check right back in with you guys in just a few minutes. Of course, we've said this all morning long. Officer Crispin died trying to make Lakeland a safer place to live. That fact, I should say, has touched not only Officer Crispin's family, his friends and co-workers, but it really did touch an entire community of Lakeland and the Bay Area as a whole. Peter Bernard takes a look at the outpouring of support for Officer Crispin's family.
On this night after Christmas,
investigate, and for that he paid the ultimate sacrifice.
And that was Peter Bernard reporting this morning. This is a copy of the program for today's service, which again was supposed to start 18 minutes ago, but because of the tremendous outpouring of support for the family and all the officers across the Bay Area who want to be here, it is a little bit late starting. This is a look inside. We want to just kind of give you a rundown of what to expect today. We'll begin the program this morning, I should say, with a welcome and invocation. That will be by the pastor of Victory Church, Pastor Wayne Blackburn. That'll be followed by the Honor Guard exchange, and music, and the song will be I Can Only Imagine. And then the obituary will be read. Chaplain the senior chaplain with the Lakeland Police Department will do that, followed by a scripture and a prayer, and the Honor Guard again, and music. Ave Maria, vocalist there, will do that song. And then personal reflections by Officer Corey Bowling of the Lakeland Police Department. And then family reflections by Chaplain Lee LaLance of the Police Department there in Lakeland, followed by agency reflections, and then again the Honor Guard exchange and more music in this one, which is always a favorite, Amazing Grace, followed by the message, and the pastor Douglas Berilius of River of God Church in Plant City will deliver the message this morning, and that'll be followed by the benediction. Again, this is all for Officer Crispin, who died in the line of duty, died December 21st, born November 1986. He was 25 years old, an 18-month veteran of the Lakeland Police Department. As you heard his family say just a short time ago, absolutely wanted to be a police officer, wanted to help people since he was a child. Want to remind folks who may be traveling in that area, the funeral procession, to give you an idea of where things will go. The hearse carrying the officer's body will make its way down Griffin Road, and then north to North Florida Avenue, I should say, and then on to Bartow Road, and that turns into US 98. And Officer Crispin will then be buried at Oak Hill Cemetery. And you probably hear that sound in the background. That's what's playing in the church, and what you may have heard just for a second was the ultimate sacrifice, and that is what this officer made when he died on December 21st. Last Wednesday. Let's go back out to News Channel 8's Jeff Patterson and Natalie Shepard, who are covering this for us live there at Victory Church in Lakeland.
Rod, right now they're showing a video of that honor flag that we described a short time ago, the flag to the church, the family beginning to come into the church. And so now we will begin our funeral coverage going inside.
And again, you're watching live coverage of Officer Crispin's service. This is inside Victory Church there in Lakeland, as you're seeing the family being seated there on the front row. And you can see just off to the bottom right corner there, the American flag draped across Officer Crispin's casket. And as you see there in the background, law enforcement, scores and scores of law enforcement officers who are inside that church to pay their respects to this officer who died in the line of duty, passed away last Wednesday, December 21st. Officer Crispin, very well loved in this community, and 18-month veteran again, 18 months on the job. He was just 25 years old. His family talked a few days after he passed away and talked about how much he loved soccer, how much he wanted to be a police officer since he was a child, because he wanted to help as many people as possible. Again, we're expecting thousands of people to attend the service, and as you can see, that has definitely happened. In fact, law enforcement, more than 100 law enforcement officers from as far away as Delray Beach began lining up to form that honor guard, and that started shortly before 9 o'clock this morning. One of the officers telling our partners with TBO.com that when one officer dies, we all die a little. That officer, Clearwater Police Officer John Walzer. Let's take a listen into the service.
On behalf of Victory Church and the